Hey, y'all, it's Orlando. We just want to let you know that the views and opinions expressed during this podcast episode are those of the co-hosts and guests and not their sponsoring institutions. Now, let's start the show. Thank you for listening in and supporting our efforts to build a platform of authentic voices for real people on the east side of Detroit. We want you to like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast on all platforms. Today, we are excited to welcome Njia Kai to the podcast. Njia is a lover of the arts, a public spaces activator, and event curator here in the city of Detroit. This year, she is in charge of making sure that the highly anticipated Charles H. Wright 39th Annual African World Festival goes off without a hitch. Back at Hart Plaza, July 15th through July 18th. Njia, welcome to Authentically Detroit.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here with both of you.
Oh, thank you.
We're excited to have you. I mean, it's been a long time coming. We can't believe it's the first time, but it definitely won't be the last because you have your hands in a little bit of everything that's going on in this city.
No.
You know, y'all, in case y'all didn't know, we're talking to a legend here in the studio. We're so excited to have you. How's the day finding you? How's everybody doing? How was the weekend? It's Monday.
It's Monday.
Yeah. Donna, you've been, I kind of could gauge how you doing today. I've been on email with you all day.
You know, I'm back.
You're back. She's back.
So I drove up today and I couldn't find a parking space at work. I was like, what's going on? Today we had Hope registration.
Nice.
So people, we were doing it with Wayne Metro Community Action Agency. People were just lining up at the doors, getting their applications processed.
Great.
It was
Speaks
great
to the need,
see.
right?
It speaks to the need, but also when we can outreach to the community and I have to find my way somewhere in the back, you know, where there are no lines. I was like, I was happy to be there. So it's good. It's good to be back at work and around our people, you know. So, yeah. How was your day?
Oh, it was good. Today is my first day back, so I'm back. Last week, even though y'all heard me on the podcast, I was officially on vacation and I was dedicated to making sure that I unplugged and just sort of stayed away from all things work. And today, actually, you know, late last night, stayed up until about 2, just scheduling emails so I wouldn't spend all day replying to emails today. So it's been good. It's been steady. It's been one thing after the next, but it helps when you really, really love and like what you do, because I was actually excited to be back at work today. I actually started my day with Donna at 10 a.m. for Bridge Detroit's Community Advisory Council, and I was all smiles because I was just happy.
But do you mind sharing, just for our listening audience, your email automatic reply that became such a source of controversy online? So y'all now know it was Orlando.
Donna put me on the spot. Okay. All right. So Donna says context is king. So I'm going to read the entire out of office reply and not just the snippet that my good friend Chase Cantrell put on Facebook. This is funny. And so the subject line reads, "I'm taking some time. You should too." And it says, "I am out of the office and will return emails the week of July 11, 2022. If your inquiry needs immediate attention, please email my colleague, Domiana Carter, at her email address. I also challenge you to rigorously interrogate what needs an immediate response and what can wait. This year, I set an intention to relinquish false urgency, and I encourage you to join me in doing the same. Blessings, Orlando."
So the latter part of that, where he says he is rigorously interrogating, you know, false urgency, the feedback was absolutely hysterical. People were saying, that's a power move. That's an elitist millennial power move. You can just tell this person is,
I
mean, you were just like the worst person. I'm sitting here reading.
I'm an uppity millennial.
And so I'm reading these on this page and I'm watching this list of critiques grow. And so I had to jump in. I was like, first of all, y'all know who you're messing with. Okay? If you knew who you were talking about, you would back up all the way. Okay. So
it was really fascinating to see because, most of the harsh critiques that came, because Chase likes to be messy. Chase posted only a part of it, right? Without any context. And he did not let people know who it was. So nobody knew it was me. And so my friends are on this thread, taking me to the white meat. Okay. And Donna comes out of nowhere slicing everybody. Y'all don't understand. I'm like, that's my friend. Donna's a true friend and partner. That's Mama Bear right there. Because she let them have it for me. I didn't say anything. I was like, I looked at it.
Hoping vacation meant you were reading Facebook. I was like, oh my goodness.
It was funny. And then I went on about my business. Njia, how you doing?
Man, I'm here cracking up with you. I was just telling my husband this morning that someone claims to be a friend, but a friend is someone that steps up.
Ooh.
And they don't let people come at you wrong and just stand there and then tell you later, oh my gosh, that was horrible. So right on, Donna.
Thank you.
Right
for
on,
being
Donna.
a friend.
That's the real D behavior. Absolutely.
Oh man, yeah. So that was fun. So yeah, we're back from vacation, and we're back here in the studio. We're going to be talking to Njia a little later on in the podcast. Unless she has something to add to this segment, it's time for Hot Takes, where we run down some of the week's top headlines in the city of Detroit. Detroit urges calm in response to city's first monkeypox case. This is a story that is posted in bridgedetroit.com. Donna, what say you?
Well, you know me, I always take us off topic a little bit. But I did read that the World Health Organization was going to rename monkeypox, stating that it's inaccurate to name versions of the virus after parts of Africa. They described it as both discriminatory and stigmatizing. So I want to start with that. Mm-hmm. I hate the use of the term monkeypox, and I hate the way that Africa is always seen as the cause of disease, when indeed this is an international issue.
Talk a little bit about the origin, because I'm not sure if people are connecting the name of the disease to the continent.
I don't know the origin. Okay. All I know is that I lived through the AIDS epidemic, and I don't know, Njia, you probably remember green monkey disease, and when they were talking about green monkeys. And there's always this, even with COVID, it was the China virus. We have a tendency to use racial slurs or coded language to describe something. So that was in June, and we're still calling it monkeypox. So when I read that headline, I was like, because I kind of went away. My sister lost my sister, and I'm just getting. And so I thought, they're still calling it monkeypox. So that's number one. And I apologize for getting off topic.
No problem.
But I think that I think there should be a calm response. I don't think it is another COVID. On the other hand, I think there should be a scientific and informed response, which we've stopped doing with COVID. So I know you want to run down the details of this article, but it is the first monkeypox case.
Yeah.
And
in the city of Detroit.
In the city of Detroit, and officials are warning it's a low risk to the public.
Yeah. Listen, have y'all seen this stuff?
No.
I'm scared.
That photo was scary.
I'm scared, Donna. Listen.
But I did, when I saw the photo, I mean, literally these big bumps that just were all over the person's hand and arm and leg. And I read a little bit of it, and the article said that it doesn't last that long.
2 to 4 weeks. That stuff they say it lasts.
Right. But 2 to 4 weeks, that's not like folks who are having residuals from COVID a year later,
long COVID. But so let me read to you what the symptoms look like. It presents with a contagious rash, spreads through close skin to skin contact or from direct contact with lesions. Signs and symptoms are often mild and could include fever, headache, muscle aches, swollen lymph nodes, chills, and exhaustion. The CDC notes that the rash looks like pimples or blisters, and it appears on the face, inside of the mouth, and other parts of the body like the hands, feet, chest, genitals, or anus. I want no parts of this disease. And I know that they want, I think it's the official's job, right? It's public officials' job to not spur mass hysteria. And so I understand that we are supposed to have a calm and rational response to this.
I think you were supposed to play that kind of music that they do on TV when they're telling you the side effects of a drug.
Right.
I think when
Doing
you
it really
read that,
quickly.
yeah, you
Doing it
read
really
the
quickly.
music.
that would have been perfect. We need sound effects in here, right? Because that would have been perfect. I mean, you want to be calm, though. I think the reality is that what hysteria does, and having, as I mentioned before, I started my career really working in HIV/AIDS prevention in 1985, and people tend to use disease as a way of mistreating people. The fear can sometimes be so outsized. If you have to come into close contact with a lesion, then walking by somebody in the grocery store is not as dangerous for you as perhaps COVID. But if you mask up and maintain your social distance, you should get neither, right?
Yeah.
So I think that really what I'm looking for our public health officials to do is to stop making about individual diseases and really talk about really effective public health behavior. You don't have to wait for the next thing to go around. Like you look in some places in Japan, it looks like people just use masks routinely on public transit. They don't, not in response to anything, but here we're oppressed. If we have to put anything over our faces, I don't know, because, and so it's problematic. Now at ECN, we're still masking up. We're still distancing. So if you want to walk in our building, you still got to put a mask on. And I think that makes sense in other places where you bring a lot of people together at one time.
Yeah, I think, one of the things about this, too, that we want to let folks know is that the city is doing contact tracing for that one case. And you would have been contacted if you have potentially been exposed. There is a vaccine for this. And if you feel like you've been exposed, they are encouraging everybody to go to your local ER and also report, if you have a case, to report that to the city officials in the public health office. But y'all be careful. It's some stuff just everywhere.
Diseases spread. Keep in mind too that every year, and I'm not trying to be scary, people die of things nobody's diagnosed.
And that was the thing, the data I was looking for.
Of public health
Yeah.
issues right now. I know so many people, I've heard stories of people who go into the hospital because we don't ever have a grasp on everything out there that can kill you. And I'm not trying to be scary, but I think if we use universal precautions, universal safe behavior, and make good decisions on the things we do, we are much less likely to get infected with these things. You and I were both at Mackinac.
Oh, yeah.
And unmasked
the super spreader.
in the super spreader event. And we had one friend, I hope she's listening to us now. We had one friend who walked everywhere with a mask on. And
Kalisha Davis, shout out to
Davis,
you.
We're shouting you out, okay? So we're Mackinac. She's walking around with a mask on. It's like, hey, girl, what's up? She's like, you look a little odd when you're the only one with a mask on. So after the event, she called me and she said, hey, Donna, did you get COVID? I'm like, girl, stop, okay? I know you didn't because you had a mask on. And she just had to let me know. But I told her, I said, listen, much respect to you because you went unafraid because you almost don't want us to be singled out in an event like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kalisha did not care.
Kalisha did not care.
And I think more of us should lean into not caring about public perception. So I still try to wear them when I go into the grocery store, when I go into the malls.
Yeah, me too.
Certainly when I'm at work, outside of my office. And I'll take it off inside my office. But when I'm leaving the office, I always try to show respect by making sure everybody has masks on. So we're still doing that.
Yeah. One of the numbers in the article cites, it was about 7,000 cases of monkeypox worldwide. Forgive me, Donna, I don't know who wants to rename it to. We'll have to do that research. But I didn't see any data around deaths. Is this something that can fatally harm somebody? And that, those are questions that, we'll be asking in the coming weeks.
I don't think it does not appear to be, that, make people that severe. However, if people have weakened immune systems,
right,
things are always more severe.
Right.
So, again, govern yourself accordingly.
All right, y'all be careful. All right, hot takes. Detroit advocates call for transparency around city's new water affordability plan. You can find the story on bridgedetroit.com. Donna, what say you?
I think that it is, that's why we have people who are justice advocates, because they're going to go through and comb through details and look and see,
the devil is
wait
in
a minute,
the
does
details.
this work? Because I think everybody who's not one of those advocates, was excited that there was something on the table, right? We've been waiting so long, and the city has said that it could not create a water affordability plan because of the Bolt decision that said that you could not charge different rates to different people. And so the city seems to have taken a step back from that mindset and said, okay, we can charge a different rate. I'm not sure how that's going to be constructed, and maybe it's a workaround because this is only for 2 years, I believe, while they have funding. It's not a permanent plan. But at any rate, what we're hearing from people, including our Congresswoman for the 13th District for now, Rashida Tlaib, that it could become a water rationing system because it limits participants to 4,500 gallons of water per month at the cheapest rate. The city is saying that the average household uses 2,300 to 3,000 gallons per month. But the city is also saying that the average household is paying about $65 or $75 per month on a bill. And I know I paid more than that. So I think that we haven't seen the data to evaluate whether or not this is true and whether or not this 4,500 gallons changes with a large family size or a large number of occupants in the home. I think there is a 60-day community engagement effort to garner responses before any amendment is made. So we still have an opportunity to give feedback. And at ECN, we're actually having a community meeting to invite the public in to listen to what the plan is and give feedback. It's an imperfect plan, for sure. But I do want to say this. If you spend more than the $4,500, you still have a discount.
45 gallons.
It's 4,500 gallons, I'm sorry. You still have discounted rate, but it goes up a little. I will say this. Is it $18 a month that they are now charging?
I am looking for that number.
I think it's
right
$18
now as
a
we
month
speak.
that they're
Okay.
saying they're going to charge for lowest income households. That is
Yes,
a far
18 a
cry
month.
from
Yep.
what people have been paying. And so I think
That's the first tier.
getting the city off of the mindset that they can't have any affordability, I think it's a good step.
I do too, and I'm glad that folks are pushing for this, for daylighting the devil in the details. But I do think, on surface, at least right now, this is a step in the right direction. And look at us giving the city of Detroit credit for doing something toward equity and trying to help at least 100,000 people here in the city of Detroit. So as you said, that first tier, $18 a month for water, sewer, and drainage services. That's for folks who are eligible for food assistance. They are automatically falling under that first tier, right? The second tier is defined as low income, or an average household making $28,000 is capped at $43 a month. And families falling under the third level, referred to as moderate income, or those making an average of about $37,000 a month, will max at $56 a month as long as they're not receiving food assistance benefits. So yes, there are some equity imperatives that we need to outline. Who's fixing leaks, right? Because that probably counts towards usage. What kind of wraparound programs are available if households go over that 4,500 gallon earmark, right? And what is the long-term funding sustainability plan, right? So right now there's funding secured for 2 years, but Gary Brown is quoted in this article as saying that they're looking and tapping on federal and state resources to secure funding for at least a decade out for this.
Wow.
So
it's the kind of thing you just want to look at a restructure
Yeah.
and not have these temporary fixes. But the temporary fixes are keeping the water on while we're looking at how do we restructure water, not just here but elsewhere, so that it is treated like a human right and not like a benefit or something like that. I mean, it's not a commodity, but we've commodified a natural resource that is necessary for life. I want to stop people from filling up swimming pools and jacuzzis and other types of recreational uses of water before we say that families can't use more than a certain amount of money also, because it's kind of unfair that we are trying to limit the use of water by low-income people and not by upper-income people. And so I think when you see a lot of water waste that's unintentional, that is, those are people who have all of these other things going on. A couple other things. I think it's important for people to understand, because the city was criticized for not involving water activists in the planning process. This was kind of
done in the dark. Yeah.
So I do want to acknowledge that when Duggan was running for office, Abdul El Sayed invited myself and several other activists to a meeting. And I did not want to be part of a political campaign. I felt like I needed to separate myself off. And when I realized that Abdul was working for the city and the mayor was running for office, I chose, and many other people chose, to distance ourselves from the process at that time because it kind of felt a little bit political then. And I think it still is. I think that it's healthy if the city is going to do things for those of us on the activist and community front to sort of stand back and evaluate as opposed to have our hands in it. And then, because I think that there's going to be disagreements down the line. So we stepped aside and it continued because remember at first there was a moratorium on shutoffs, which really was, not helpful for many people. And a lot of people, as the moratorium is still scheduled to end at the end of this year.
Yeah.
Keep in mind the number of people who don't qualify for any of those rate reductions.
Yeah.
Who have not been paying their water bills and are going to be hit with huge bills.
Because I guess the assumption is that folks who, I don't know, maybe work at East Side Community Network making $50 or $40 some odd $1,000 a year or another local nonprofit are doing really great for themselves and can afford all of their utilities, right? We're not thinking about that person who works hard and who is just stretched, but who is out of, targeted areas of income, but is not necessarily deemed low income.
Well,
I mean,
the area median income for the Detroit metropolitan statistical area is over $60,000. So if you are making $40,000, $45,000, $50,000, you are still under the area median income. When the city is making these decisions, they can make decisions around the area median income when it comes to housing.
Yeah.
But when it comes to water, we're saying let's look at really low income. Well, if we use that area median income as our guide, it really should moderate. It should start at $65,000 or whatever the area median income is, and not $37,000 is moderate income. That's not really in 2022
moderate income.
Moderate.
That's low income.
And so I just think that it's interesting how these decisions get made. The people who are making $37,000 could not live in the affordable housing that the city keeps bragging about.
But you know what, Donna, is you make an interesting point around the activist community sort of, sitting on the outside, providing a check to whatever is presented by the municipality. But what I think is a huge miss. To me, it feels like a lot of this planning and work was still done in the dark without any public check for transparency, no reports to the media on the progress, so that we can have in-process evaluation and in-process questioning. And so the plan is finished, and now it's the same old, we're getting ready to do community engagement. We're going to have 10 meetings, and then we're going to see, people, and then we're going to go ahead and go on to the next thing. This feels like the same stuff, and I want us to really think about why that is the tendency on part of the power structure. We need to have our own
meetings in the community and give our own feedback. Going to a meeting called by Gary Brown means that you're going to be asked to respond to his questions as opposed to ask your own. And then I think we can make a shared demand. So I think that we're in a position to do that. And the city does do things in the dark. They should have brought this and rolled it out to the public before voting on it. Now, my reading is that the plan is not finalized yet, so it's possible you can nibble around the edges, but I think the water board did vote on it.
They did vote, yeah.
It's sort of like, okay, it's not final, but we voted.
And while we're in hot takes, just want to let you know that City Council has released an application. This is a follow-up to last week's conversation on the Reparations Task Force. City Council released an application for folks to apply to be on the Reparations Task Force. They're looking for historians, they're looking for artists, they're looking for residents, they're looking for all kinds of folks who want to get involved in the process. The application is due sometime in October, and interviews will start shortly thereafter. What Donna and I found out today from a firsthand source is that some of the names that Council President Mary Sheffield floated around to be a part of the executive committee on the Reparations Task Force were just names that were top of mind to her. There weren't any conversations about her throwing out those names. And so we're kind of anxious to see what happens and, who's going to be in leadership and sitting on that task force.
There's the Wright Museum has a community action counselor whatever. It hasn't been in a while. But reparations was studied by that group, right? So you've had some reparations studies happening inside of the city. We don't have to start from ground zero. Let's start with people who have been engaged in the study of reparations and people who have been engaged in the study of history, because it's got to be rooted in truth, not in the kinds of things, and I'm going to say this every time, resurfacing I-375 is not reparations in any way, shape, or form, okay? So, when you have people throwing this out and this idea that we can help businesses or black developers becoming millionaires, black capitalism is not
gonna save us.
Black capitalism is black capitalism, and I'm not hating on them. I'm just saying that when you look at the people who were displaced, the people who were homeless, the people who were, really emotionally and had their whole families harmed, you've got to come up with something more than we're going to create a black business district anew.
All right. That wraps up Hot Takes. If you have pieces that you want discussed on Authentically Detroit, you can hit us up on our socials at Authentically Detroit on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or you can email us at authenticallydetroit@gmail.com. Super excited that Njia is here today to talk about the highly anticipated African World Festival, my favorite festival of the season. The festival will take place this Friday, July 15th through Sunday, July the 17th. And this year, the festival is moving back to Hart Plaza after more than a decade at the Charles H. Wright Museum. Njia, first question. Why are we going back to Hart Plaza? What's the logic behind that?
Well, there are a number of reasons. I mean, the reasons why we left Hart Plaza in the first place were mostly economic. Had to do with the fact that at that point, the city, the state, the federal government, the corporations were all cutting back on funding to organizations in the city of Detroit, especially and including the Wright Museum. And that, I think it was June, the president of the museum said to me, Njia, we just lost another, several thousand, tens of thousands of dollars that were earmarked to support the museum. And now having the festival, the board was really concerned that the festivals are expensive.
Yeah.
And so the board was really concerned that we were going to pull from needed capital to keep the institution alive. And so we decided at that point that we would bring the festival to the grounds of the Wright Museum so that we could bring as much attention as we could with that festival to the museum itself, as well as to mitigate some of those costs. And let me tell you, Orlando and Donna, that very first year, which was 2012, that we hosted the festival at the Wright Museum with $5.75 in cash to do it, and that's obviously an exaggeration, but close to the reality, we were able to enlist volunteer talent, volunteer staff, volunteer crew, volunteers. We were able to utilize a lot of the materials and supplies and equipment that were already there at the institution. And it was because of the generosity of this community that we were able to hold that festival in 2012. And wow. I tell you honestly, I just was so amazed and made sure I told as many people as possible, do you see the power in this? And the statement that's being made here about our capacity, if we pool our resources, the kinds of big things that we can do. And we actually had a waiting list. It was so generous. The support in the community was so generous, especially from those performers who were on the waiting list to participate.
Wow.
When we could not afford to pay them. I think I spent $200 or $300 that year on entertainment. Seriously.
Wow.
That's how much the community stepped up to make this happen. So
that's so us though, ain't it?
Come on now. Come on now. And that's the, tradition I was raised in.
Yeah.
That we pulled together and made it happen. So from that, we were able, as the economy started coming back, we were able to do better in our fundraising, but we never really got back to the levels that we had when we were at Hart Plaza until most recently, where there has been a return, slow but steady return of funding in support of the institution. That has allowed us now to go back to Hart Plaza. We were wearing out the grounds of the Wright Museum.
I mean, but you say slow but steady. I remember a couple years ago, there was an article in one of the papers, will the Wright Museum have to close its doors? And now, I mean, big, 7-figure contributions are coming from many, many places. It's exciting to see the extent to which the Wright is being supported by, the state, most recently in the budget by, Mackenzie Phillips and her donations, the Ford Foundation. I think there's this sudden awareness of the value of the museum.
I'm grateful to see it. I'm also, though, a real proponent of us not losing our way here and recognizing that we as a community are the first and foremost supporters of institutions that are that live for us. We've got to be out there, and we've got to make sure that we are supporting with our dollars.
I agree.
With our contributions in other ways
to
make sure it's a strong institution. Yeah. I mean, it's a big deal, and it's something that I'm really interested to join forces with whomever is interested to help us turn that type of thought around in our community so that we really are about the business of supporting what we want.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that self-determination is important. I think that, sometimes we are self-determined when things get hard. But when things look good, we need to be just as self-determined, because that's sometimes when institutions get taken from us.
That's right.
And we lose that power. Is that the concern you're sharing?
Absolutely. And, absolutely. I mean, all of that. And, just the notion that who are we waiting for? Who are we looking to? How do you expect to be rescued by the person who's holding you hostage? I mean, I just find this almost a little insane for us as a community to not recognize the power that we must wield from our own hands. And, so any hooty Rudy, all of that was to say that the festival has been able now to get on a more steady financial foot as the institution has been able to do so. And again, we were growing. When we first moved in 2012, folks weren't certain what it was going to be, but it turned out to really be a beautiful, intimate,
it's still the spot. Yes.
Yeah, really great event. And we've done so for a decade now. But we've really outgrown the space, and the space was not made to be a festival venue, as Hart Plaza is certainly much more
ready.
Thank you very much.
It's ready for that. Can I park here for a minute, because I really want to ask you this question around the support for the museum and the financial support for the festival. What do you think has awakened in these corporations that they now see? This is Authentically Detroit. We're going to ask the questions that they now see the value. And do you think this is something that will be sustained, or is this the priority for this year and maybe next year? And what kind of demand can we make?
Well, anybody who asks me, I tell them I'm 27. I'm 27 this year. I'll be 27 next year. My son said, Mom, when you pass, what are we supposed to say at the service? I said she was 27 then. She's 27 now. There's no reason to doubt the fact that I've held that year annually and continue to master being a 27-year-old. Yeah. But the truth of the light is that I have seen many decades of time go by, and there are cyclic patterns to society. And I think that we happen to be riding a certain wave right now, and we need to take advantage of it. But we also need to be strategic and smart about preparing for a time when this might not be the wave. And we need to not, all of a sudden be in a panic. We need to have benefited by all of the giving and support that's coming in while we are nurturing inner support, and while we are teaching ourselves how to support and expand the institutions and organizations that are for our benefit.
So this year, one of the changes is Darren Walker at the Ford Foundation. And so you have Black people in philanthropy in places, in major philanthropy in places they have not existed before. That's what we talked about last week, right? Is building the infrastructure in our community where we have control over decisions, even decisions that get made by other people. But I absolutely agree with you. It starts with us at the core, really saying this is us at the core. And that leads me to another question. And, the controversy is, they're charging. It's been free. $15. Now, I can't even afford the Movement Fest. It's like, you know what?
And we be deep.
I don't even like driving by because, that might be expensive. I mean, $15. And then if you get a membership, it's free. And I don't think people knew that you can get a membership at the Wright. I know that's one of the ways to advertise it. But I think it's important to say free with a membership and without $15. And if you plan on coming more than one day, it really makes no sense not to be a member. You should be a member anyway because it is our museum, and that's what you're getting at. It is ours. Every single year, we should sign up for a membership. Every single year. And if we don't like something about it, we should give feedback. Because sometimes what people will do is justify not supporting something by saying, well, when I went there, this happened, or I didn't like this one thing. But really, this is ours. And when it becomes ours, then we can have influence over what it does. So I'm excited to be a member. I'm encouraging everybody who listens.
Because I'm not a member. I need to do that. I'm going to do that.
It's $35 for an individual.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
If you're a student, it costs less. If you're a senior citizen over, I think, 65, it's a little less, right?
That's correct.
So we have the costs that are different, but become a member. And if you don't want to become a member, then you should pay that $15.
What do you have to say to the folks griping about a $15 entry fee?
Well, I'm a community member, and I understand where folks are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 38 years of free tradition.
Yeah.
So when things change, there's going to be conversation and controversy around such change. I think it's important that people voice their opinions. I think it's also important that people recognize the fact that it should not need to be admission toward to enter the festival that causes someone to be a member of the Charles H. Wright Museum. That membership of the Wright Museum is something I hope people will do so that they can support this important institution and so they can come into the institution to take advantage of all the various amenities, the educational opportunities. I used to sit in the
TUD exhibit right now.
Yeah. I used to sit in the museum in order to organize the festival, and I would be in there for several months. Beginning in the spring, leading up to the event, and I would see the family reunions, the visitors coming from towns out, distances away from here, international visitors. The students who come from Metro Detroit of all races and backgrounds come into that institution. That is the only African American history and culture institution in our city. Think about that.
Yeah.
It's the only one. And it is important to have a place that validates you in today's world. It's important to have a place that can confirm and that can hold your traditions and that can preserve and promote and present the culture and history of our people. So that alone is a reason to get a membership. However, right now, there's a big incentive, absolutely, to get that membership so you can come in and out of the festival all weekend long and do so very affordably. And as you said, it's $35 for a single adult for the year membership at the Wright Museum. It's $65 for a family, which is includes up to 2 adults and up to 4 children. There are various other levels of membership that you can find on the website. And we encourage you to do that. Take advantage of that benefit of membership.
Right.
And then if not, and you choose to just come for a day, let's pay that $15 knowing that it is an investment in making sure that this event goes on, because all of us know that right now everything costs more. Everything costs more. We did not come back to Hart Plaza at the same level of expense that we have
left in 2011.
No, sir.
I bet.
Absolutely. And all the contractors are letting us know that if they're paying $6 a gallon for gas, they have to pass that price on to the festival. So yeah, it is an expensive endeavor, and everybody wants everything. They want a full event. They want all the entertainment. They want all the marketplace. They want the full activity, and that's what we want to deliver. And it costs to do so. And if we break it up by several thousands of us contributing a small amount, we can make it happen and make it really big and beautiful.
And freedom ain't free anyway. So, listen, if this is our story. We talk about how our, it's illegal to teach CRT right now. It's illegal to teach accurate Black history, or accurate American history. How about not even Black history? But it's illegal to teach that in many places. And you're seeing a change in the teaching profession where teachers are afraid to, cross over. This is a place where our story gets told by people like us, and it's important for us to support that. As Orlando mentioned, a lot of people did not know that there was such a thing as a membership to the museum. And so hopefully people get in the habit of purchasing memberships moving forward. I'm really excited about it being at Hart Plaza because I loved the festival at Hart Plaza.
Me too.
Oh, great. I'm one, half a dozen of one, six of the other as a person who's producing the event. Downtown has certain benefits, but it also has certain things that are kind of hard to maneuver around. Being on the grounds of the Wright Museum was the same also. So I just love the festival. I love the annual reunion. I love the annual fellowship. I love learning new things and meeting new people and then seeing folks I've known forever. I love the whole energy of the event, and I'm grateful to be able to be a part of it and to help it sustain and grow. And I'm encouraging all of us to, do what needs to be done to be there this coming weekend.
I want to say this, when you go downtown, a lot of times we are disappearing from the downtown scene.
We are in full effect, ain't we?
So, for us to be downtown and for us to have a festival there, it's a sense of belonging and ownership. It's our Hart Plaza. It doesn't just belong to people who are coming in from other places. And so for me, it's a sense of we own the city. It's a sense of we belong here. I loved it at the right on the grounds. I thought that it brought something unique there and certainly introduced a lot of people to the museum who's never been to the museum, just who came for the festival. But I really do think we need to stake our claim downtown in Hart Plaza. And so I'm really excited about that. So what are some of this year's performers? You talked about what people are want to see. What's going to happen?
Yeah, we're really excited. We have a wonderful variety, a real deep variety of performances because we cater to our full community, from the small children to our elders and all those in between. So we have on our main stage on Friday night, we have Cam Anthony, the young man who was from The Voice, the 2021 winner of The Voice. He will open up for our Detroit Rocks the Runway, which is, we say, where fashion gets cultured. And it's a fashion extravaganza featuring 8 to 12 designers, 80 to 90 models. There's music, there's dance, there's spoken word, and our featured artist, performing artist during Detroit Rocks the Runway on Friday night is Mama Soul from Flint, Michigan, a hot lyricist, a beautiful soul, and she currently is seen in the Detroit Pistons' new initiative on their TV commercials, Spittin' Fire, as she does, and she'll be there with her full band. On Saturday, our headliners are Liz Wright, the celebrated jazz and gospel vocalist, and she'll be followed by the legendary Wailers. And that, you might recall when Bob Marley was performing, he came out as Bob Marley and the Wailers. And so this is a band that consists of some founding members of that band, and they are commissioned to come and bring up that old reggae, and we'll all be dancing and singing on Saturday night. And then closing out on Sunday, we have a 3:00 gospel performance by Kiera Sheard, Detroit's own daughter.
Kiki.
Yes, sir. She's the daughter of the Clark sisters and has emerged in her own right as a dynamic gospel performer. So she will be performing a full show with her band at 3. And then that we'll be closing out the evening with Seun Kuti. Seun Kuti is a Nigerian Afrobeat superstar, son of Fela Kuti, who invented Afrobeat and caused the world to begin to create rhythms now called world beat, but certainly reflective of the Afrobeat sound.
Come on.
And then we'll close the main stage that night with our own Jessica Care Moore,
the legend,
and Stephanie Christian, our rock star. They and a big band are going to perform a new album of music that they have just recorded and have not yet released. So it will premiere live at the African World Festival. They'll be closing us out on Sunday night. We have the Pyramid Art Stage, and we have a variety of theater, of spoken word, of singer-songwriters, of Americana blues and traditional folk music, as well as Chawa, which is a contemporary New Orleans band that brings both the traditional New Orleans sound with a contemporary edge. They're going to entertain us on Friday night. We're closing out the Pyramid Art Stage on Sunday night with Detroit's own Queen of the Blues, Thornetta Davis.
Yes.
We have the Waterfront Lounge, and that is the patio that overlooks the Detroit River. It's just a beautiful scenic opportunity. The Food Village is there, so you can get your food, drink, sit down, chill out, and enjoy DJs. We have 12 hours of DJs each day featured in that area. We have the Umba Artist Village, where we are featuring many of the vendors and local visual artists who will not only sell their wares, but will demonstrate their artistic talent live right there at the festival. We have Heritage Works returning with us this year for the Village Circle, which features West African, Afro-Cuban, Catherine Dunham, all kinds of dance and drum, the djembe techniques, so you can come. It's a performance, demonstration, and classes, all free and available to all festival goers. And then next to Heritage Works is Generation Next Kingdom, and that's where we really focus on our millennials, our older teens and young adults, with hip-hop, neo-soul, spoken word, techno, hip-hop dance. We've got it all going on from 8 to 11 each evening at the Generation Next Kingdom.
I'll be hanging on that.
That's what I'm
you
saying.
You say you're 27, but there's not any neo soul that I don't love.
Oh,
so I'll be
excellent.
over there in poetry. Yes.
For real.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, yeah. Well, then
hang out with the young folks.
You will love it. And we have 130 vendors this year.
That's my favorite part. Shopping at the
130
festival.
vendors from all around the world and across the United States. We have 14 food vendors featuring cuisine from Africa, from the Caribbean, and from our own African-American traditions, as well as a vegan provider and some refreshing snacks. There's a bike valet encouraging folks to ride their bikes,
cool.
the bikes, and the first 200 people to arrive on a bike each day receive free admission through a grant process that's happened. So if you ride your bike to the festival and are one of the first 200, there's free admission for you. There's
How many hundred people are working with you to plan all
I know.
this? I'm just tired. I'm like, woo.
You can tell it's in her.
Exactly.
Like this
She
event
is
is,
just
and you
able
are
to do
living,
it. And
eating,
it's
breathing this
crazy
event.
to me because that's so much.
That's so much.
And I still have 3 other areas to talk about. So
Okay, let me stop.
run through
okay.
them.
So
Yeah.
I want you to know, because one of the absolute yearly favorites is Watoto Village, and Watoto is in the Swahili language is children. And so this is the area where we focus on young children, about 3 to 12 years old. There's a stage of performance. There are arts and crafts. There are games. There's special activities for those children. Then next to them is the Health is Wealth Pavilion that Wayne State University is sponsoring. And there will be Wayne State University booths with the medical school and their nursing program and various programs aimed at the health of this community, as well as their mobile health unit will be there offering services. And then we have 3 full days of activities being led by exercise folks, dance folks, sports folks. So you can come over there and do some cardio. You can do some Tai Chi. There's a whole variety, all 3 days of free interactive activities in that area. And last but not least, I want to emphasize Elder Village. Elder Village is a location where we cater to our elders. We give them a nice shady space where they can rest, where they can play some games, where they can be visited by some of the health providers, where there's a cool drink and a little refreshment for them. as we respect our elders and recognize this will be a hot weekend. And so we want to make sure that they're taken care of. So the Great Lakes African American Quilters Network is going to sponsor a workshop each day where folks can come and actually be given the fabric and sewing machines to learn the techniques of quilting.
Wow.
Baba Jaman Jordan, who is the city's official historian, first ever, will provide a free walking tour each on Saturday and on Sunday.
Oh, I gotta do that.
There's just so much going on, and we really encourage the community. Come on, let's support. Let's make this happen well this year, and then let's work together to see what things we can improve and build upon for next year so that we make sure everybody feels great about coming on down to the 40th African World Festival next year.
Well, I mean, my hats off to you, honestly. That's so much for $15.
She in it.
Oh my goodness! You know what? You just make
I know
people
what
sound
that feels
cheap.
like.
But I have another question. It's amazing, and I'm super
Excellent.
excited for this weekend.
Good.
So I'll be there a lot. Not Saturday until after 5 p.m. because Orlando and I ended up with a conflict, which leads me to another question, and that is the date change.
Yeah. There was some very specific there was a very specific set of intentions that caused the event to be moved to July this year. And so we are working real hard to make sure that next year we return to our third weekend of August. But we say, come on and support this year. And besides returning to the Hart Plaza, next year we look to return to the third weekend of August.
Okay. So we just want to make sure we get the word out and people know what's going on. And so I don't know if you have flyers, but, people like my organization has an email distribution list of about 2,000 people plus or minus. Okay. And so if we can get flyers that we can help support sharing this.
Excellent. And, in my head, I just wrote your name down, and we'll make sure that by tomorrow you have what you need so that you can spread the word.
I know she's not lying either. She is, this event is in her. Like, I get you so much right now.
Right.
It's something. I want to talk a little bit about you. We got about 5 minutes left. I want to talk about you, the person, because you curate and activate a lot of public spaces here in the city of Detroit, and you do an amazing job of giving platform to so many. Talk a little bit about your journey in becoming that person that gives platform, and even being the director of the African World Festival, my favorite festival.
Excellent.
Every year. So
excellent. And that, who knew that this is where I would arrive? I'm a Detroiter. And I was brought up here in the Baptist church. And in that church, my mom was the person who wrote the plays and decorated for the teas. And, and I was her ace number one helper. And from her, I learned production. I learned putting on events. And I really came to love it. And when I went to college, I actually majored in film production. And when I moved back to Detroit at that time, there wasn't a lot of film opportunity unless you wanted to go into advertising. And even though I'm real convincing, I didn't want to use that skill to get people to drink more or smoke more. So I decided not to follow that route. And I saw this little ad that said they were looking for someone for a special event to be the production coordinator. And I thought, well, I can produce films and videos. I should be able to do that, and especially with the background from the church and from the community where I continued growing up in supporting events in our community. And I answered that ad, and that happened to be for the Detroit Festival of the Arts, and which actually WDET and Wayne State University was a big sponsor of, and that went on for some 20-some years, a major international cultural arts festival here in the cultural arts district, the cultural district here in the city. And that's really where I learned, was very well mentored and allowed to really get into major public events. And from there, we were invited downtown to participate in the grand opening of Campus Martius Park. And we were asked to remain to pioneer the programming and the activities that happened there. And we've continued working with them now for the full 18 years of its existence. Wow. And when one of the presidents at the Wright Museum came to take the helm there and met me and saw a need because they needed to give the Wright Museum employees a little break. So she hired our company to come in and produce the African World Festival, to direct the African World Festival on behalf of the museum. And so we've done that now for a number of years. There were a couple little years that we were not engaged with that, but certainly been a supporter of that festival. And you're right, Orlando. Somewhere along the way, I found out that, you know what? I just love production. I just absolutely love production, and I consider myself a cultural activist. And it's through expressions of culture and art that I really activate within this community, within this world.
So you're using words like we and our company, and so it's bigger than Njia. Talk about your company a little bit.
Yeah, it's never, you can't do these kind of events by yourself.
No.
You can write down the paper, the outline on the paper, but to get it going, you got to have a team. And we've been blessed that within our family grouping.
I love that.
Yeah, within our family grouping, we've grown, and then within the wider community, extended family, we've grown, and we've met so many people who have worked with us and joined with us over these years to really do what we think is fun, hard work, and that is to program, curate, manage, coordinate major public events here in the city of Detroit. And I will take the opportunity to say that my daughter, Ndidika, was very much our partner, had become like a senior member of the group. Yeah. And she passed about 7 weeks ago. Yeah. So we're pushing to, to keep it going and to attract some new team members who it'll probably take 2 to 3 people to replace her. But we're wanting to keep going because the mission is that important. And, we're encouraged. We're encouraged by the community and their response to the things that we do. So very grateful to be able to do what I do. And like you said, doing what you love to do, it changes it from work into something.
It's really a privilege.
It's amazing.
It's not a chore. It's a privilege.
Listening to you, right? And we talked about self-determination earlier. You weren't sure what you were going to do, and you have been driving your own sort of career and creating business and creating opportunities for so many other people.
Yeah, this has been, I'm telling you, it's been and I didn't have it. I look at young people who are out there, just keep stumbling along, following your love, following your passion, following where your commitments and values lie. And you will create something that reflects you. And when you do the stuff that reflects you, you can't help but be happy, even though I am working like somebody who doesn't have good sense to pull it all together. But I love to see it come together, and I'm committed to bringing my best to the African World Festival. And so we're really eager for everybody to come on down and just fuss at us about the change of date, fuss at us about the change of location.
Stop fussing. We love to fuss.
I don't mind the fuss, because if you fussing at me this coming weekend, that means you're there.
But
so right on.
Right.
I love it.
But also lift people up, right?
Yeah.
Because it is hard love. And I just have to be honest with you. I'm going to enjoy it even more having listened to you describe it and knowing who you are and what you put into it, because it's a labor of love, and you can see that threaded throughout everything that you've described, or you're taking care of everybody in the community. So
thank you. That's our intention. That's our intention, and I just want to again make sure that I'm reflecting the great team that we have and the fact that the Wright Museum entrusts us with this opportunity. So it's a whole crew making it happen, and I'm grateful to be a part of that.
Shout out to the team. We're nothing without our teams.
Hey,
thank you for being here, Njia.
I appreciate you, Orlando, and Donna. Thank you both for having me, and I really enjoyed listening to you. You guys take time to get information and then bring that back with your opinions and perspectives. Beautiful. I really am grateful I was here.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. If you have topics that you want discussed on Authentically Detroit, you can hit us up on our socials at Authentically Detroit on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or you can email us at authenticallydetroit@gmail.com. It is time for shout outs. Donna, you got any shout outs?
Yes, I want to shout out our partners at Detroit Action.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
Let's do it.
We have a little conflict, but it's not all day, but we have a little conflict because we are hosting an economic justice forum on the 13th Congressional District. We have 8 of 10 candidates who are confirmed, and all of the I think highest polling candidates have confirmed to be there, and Orlando and I are going to share some questions with folks and ask some questions about economic justice, not just who you are and what is your name recognition, but what will you do if you are elected to Congress? It's going to be live streamed on Facebook and on our Facebook and on ECN's Facebook and on Detroit Action's Facebook and hopefully Bridge Detroit
on
as
Facebook.
many Facebook pages as possible, because we want people to listen and vote intelligently. Don't just vote because you like somebody.
Yeah.
And nobody follows you in that voting booth. But when you're in there, vote because of what they're going to do for the community.
I know that's right. And Njia, you have any shout outs?
Man, I'm shouting out the whole community because y'all know I'm going to be looking for you, and you better be down there at Hart Plaza.
And she be walking the event, too.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, July 15, 16, 17, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. I'm looking for everybody.
And I'm an everyday goer. Like, I go almost every day.
That's right. We love Orlando.
Man. Shout out to Donna and the team at Detroit Action for picking up the slack while I was away, because they really allowed me and afforded me the opportunity to step away without bothering me and asking me to do tasks as it relates to the forum this weekend. So thank you for picking up the slack while I was away. Really, really appreciate it. I want to shout out the team at Bridge Detroit. Tomorrow, or I should say Tuesday, July the 12th, we are having our all-city community town hall. Come and talk to the newsroom. Y'all ever had a newsroom want to talk to residents like in a real intentional way and hear about neighborhood experiences so that journalism can reflect the streets, right? That's what we're doing. And we know it ain't been done before. So come out to Belle Isle tomorrow at 6 or July 12th at 6. Free food, shelter number 8. We'll be there. You'll see me there and the Bridge Detroit newsroom. So that's going to wrap up this episode of Authentically Detroit. We thank you so much for listening, and we want you to catch the wave.